So continue with our sociology. We're going to the mechanism through which order is maintained, including power, ideology, force, and consensus. When we talk about order, making things right, we want conformity. That is what order is talking about. So we're going to start with ideology. So for ideology, they said ideologies are a set of beliefs whose ultimate purpose is to explain something. This might be the meaning of life, scientific or religious ideologies, the nature of family organizations, family ideologies, the superiority or inferiority of selected social group, which gender ideologies, how societies should be organized and governed, political ideologies. So when we talk about ideology, it's simply talking about you trying to explain how things should be based on your own knowledge or expertise. It could be in different walk of life, maybe the family, politics, religion, subjects. In as much as you are trying to explain things based on your own understanding, that's your own ideology. I think the point there is clear. So the word ideology is now often used to describe a set of ideas that is not true, or whether that the person using the word ideology believes it's not true. Ideologies involve a partial or biased account. Ideologies can be used to explain and approve the social culture and culture, justifying particular attitudes and behaviors. The term dominant ideology refers to a set of ideas which is most widely accepted in a society, usually imposed by powerful group. So these days, I won't say it's your own idea. It means I might not accept it because it's based on what you think and based on what you have experienced. So it means I need to justify whatever I have said, like what we just talked about the classroom and whatever it is. So I need to justify whatever I have said based on my own ideas and ideology, based on what I have known in the past. So whatever the case might be, whatever statements or whatever ideology you are putting up to people, it has to be justifiable through the way you act or your behavior. So that's the point there. So for Marxists, they argue that ideologies have a controlling or manipulative element. For example, a capitalist-controlled media directly attempts to influence its audience by constructing and presenting a version of reality favorable to the ruling class. The ruling class control the state and use state institutions to impose the dominant ideology. So there's one called dominant ideology, which are those ideas that we don't have other choice than to just accept them because they are given to us by those that are in power. So we can't, if we say no to them, it becomes deviant, it becomes non-conformity. So according to Marxists, they believe the capitalists has sold their own ideology to the people because they control the state, they control the media. So whatever they put into the media is what the media will say. The media is biased already. That means there's no objectivity in whatever the media is saying because whatever the media says is through the capitalist. So the ruling class, okay, yeah. So Althusser in 71 referred to these institutions as ideological state apparatuses. They include the education system, the family, the media, and religion. For Adorno, in 1944, part of the Marxist Frankfurt School argued that ruling class ideology is passed on through the culture industry that creates forms of popular culture, film, magazines, comics. Are you there?
Yeah,
okay. Newspaper and so on, which are consumed critically and passively by the people. So it is still the state apparatus, which means we use institutions, we use the workplace, we use the family. So the capitalists, they've manipulated the mindset of the institution to the extent that whatever they say is just preaching the capitalist and how they are the most, they are the ones that could change the way of life. Like people have to rely on them if they really want a better life. That's what state apparatuses are talking about. So by controlling the culture industry, a ruling class controls the means of mental production, how people see and think about the social world. The working class absorbing this ideology is prevented from realizing what it is really going on. They have what Marxists call first-class consciousness, believing because they are repeatedly told this, that the system they live under is fair and honest, and that their own low position is the result of their own failure or lack of ability. The reality of exploitation and oppression is hidden by the ideology. If the working class becomes able to see their real situation and protest, the ruling class can then call on what Althusser calls the repressive state apparatus. That means you saying no, you are not accepting That means you stop accepting the ideology. But before you could do that, it takes time. So basically, what they are talking about, for Marxists, they believe there's what we call this false class consciousness. So it has been written, it has been structured. So we just buy into those ideas of the capitalist, and we feel that whatever they do is fair and honest. That you are a working class, you belong to a working class because you failed, not that the institution failed you. So that is the ideology, the mindset of capitalists. So they make us to believe, or they make them to believe, that you are a working class because you choose to be a working class. They don't want to accept that they have structured it in a way that it becomes difficult for individuals to move out of that social class, to move up the ladder. So do you get the point I'm making there? So it becomes difficult because you cannot move out of the social ladder because you failed. But you are not the one that failed. The school failed you because the capitalist society is structured in a way that you won't be able to succeed. Because if you do succeed, then you start questioning the ideologies of the capitalists, which they don't want. Do you understand? Because if that happens, then you start the repressive state apparatus will begin, because you start questioning them on what and why they do this, what makes them to do that. So the police, armed forces, and so on, who can control the working class by force. So the repressive state apparatus, they ensure that whenever you are saying no, it becomes difficult for you to even say no, because these people will force you to say yes. And if you still want to be deviant, they're threatening you with prison, with fine, and the rest. So ideologies are important in the social construction of reality because they play an overall structural role in any society. They will represent complete systems of belief enabling events to be located within wider context and related to similar events in this sense. Ideologies are mental maps that tell us not only where we have been, our cultural history, but also where a society wants to go in terms of economical, political, and cultural development. Ideologies are powerful structuring agencies because they put together and make sense of the various strands of our individual and cultural existence and gives the social world meaning, stability, and order. So with ideology, we buy into those things, and we feel without them, we don't have a backbone. So whatever we do in our life, it is based on this ideology. So ideology is very important because it is what the laws of the country are being made from. The family, there's the parent, the dad's idea that, okay, this is how we want to set up our family. So ideas and ideologies are structures, are foundation to where we start thinking about what we want to become in the future. So that's about ideology. I think it makes sense there, right? Any question about ideology? So we'll go to power. So we'll continue with how order is being placed in the society. So we're going to power. When we're talking about power, power simply means the ability or capacity to make changes, to be able to change things. That is what power is. But let's read anyway. Power. Power is an important but often difficult concept. Dugan, 2003, defines power actively, suggesting that it involves the capacity to bring about change. Lukes in 1990, however, defines power passively, arguing that one definition involves the power to do nothing by making others believe nothing has to change. Power also have many sources. For Weber in 1922, distinguished between two types. So before we go into Weber, let's look at Lukes and Dugan. For Dugan, he believes power involves the ability to change things. That is for Dugan. But for Lukes, he said the opposite. He said power is the ability to stop things from happening.
But not change.
That means you have the power to not make things happen.
Okay.
Do you get the point here? Do you get the difference between both definitions?
One changes, one doesn't change.
Yes. So when you have power, it means you have the ability to stop a change. That makes you powerful. And also, you have power means you have the ability to make changes. So two contrasting definitions, but both of them comes back to the same concept, which is power, the ability to make it happen or not to make it happen. I think the point is clear. So for Weber, it is distinguishing between power. He said force or coercive power, where people are forced to obey under threat of punishment. So it is coercive because you are obliged, you are forced to do it. So you just have to get it done, or you are being punished. That's coercive power. Then we have the consensual power, where we have to think about it together. You heard it said, for consensual power, authority where people obey because they believe it's right to do so. So for consensual, it's just like the president says this, we have to accept it. But Mr. Latif says this, he is not the president. Do you understand? For me to say it and make it happen, that means I might use coercive power. But because I have, that is an individual here. But if I'm like the president or I'm someone in authority, so whatever I say will stand because you believe that it is right to do so. So that's the difference between the force and consensual power. Consensual power, we don't question it because we believe it is right for us to do based on the fact that it comes with authority. But for coercive, it means we have to force people to do it. Maybe because it doesn't come from authority. But we want them to get it done. Then we force them to do it. And if they don't want to do it, we threaten them with punishment. So do you understand? According to Weber, that's the two types of power. Authority or force. Is it clear? So then the second type of authority can be further broken up. We have the charismatic power, which involves people obeying people because they trust the person issuing a command. So when we talk about charismatic, it's based on who you are, based on your features, your characteristics, your status in the society. So we trust you. Whatever you say, we accept it. So as a result of that, whatever instruction you give, we follow. That is charismatic power. So it means we trust you. That's why we're going to accept whatever you say. Then the other one is traditional power, which is based on custom and practices. So the way things have always been done. So here it's about the norms. This is how things should be. Oh, the classroom. The classroom should be like this. The teacher takes charge of the classroom, not the student. This is how it should be. So that's traditional. So I think you get the point there, right? Then we have the rational, which is legal. So for rational or legal power, which expresses the idea that people expect commands to be obeyed because they are present in an authority structure, gives them the right to demand control. So I'm still going to use the class here. It is for the students to obey the teachers because the authority is on the teacher to carry on with the students. So the teacher is supposed to teach them. And if he has to teach them, it means they have to listen. So I won't be out there calling you to listen to me. I don't have any business with you. But if I'm in that classroom, I have the authority to put you in order. So that is legal and it is rational because I have that authority to do. But outside the classroom, outside the school, it's not my business. And I wouldn't even tell you to keep quiet because it's not my business. So that is what rational is about. For charismatic, we accept you based on who you are, based on the trust we have for you. For traditional, based on the norms of the society or culture. And for rational or legal, it means we accept it because the law wants it to be accepted. I think it's clear. So power also has a number of dimensions. We can define power in terms of decision making. It involves the ability to make decisions. Now, the teachers, it's written already. Teachers, for example, can decide what their students do in the classroom. Teachers can decide what their students do in the classroom. So it's about not me coming up with that idea. It is written in the book. So I keep saying, whatever I do in the classroom, it's a reflection of what I have read in the past. And this is an evidence. So here they said, power also has a number of dimensions. We can define power in terms of decision making. It involves the ability to make decisions. So teachers, for example, can decide what their students do in the classroom. So the classroom does not belong to the student. It belongs to the teacher because the teacher ensures that knowledge is passed across. And to pass knowledge across, that means the class has to function. Without functioning, then there's no classroom. So that's the first point there. The second point, preventing others making decisions. A teacher can stop their students doing things they might like to do, such as gazing out of the window. Teacher again here, you want to gaze out, you want to check what's happening. It is interference. It does not go with the school line. Because a second's missed from the information passed to the teacher might be detrimental or might mar your understanding of the lesson. Another one, preventing other making decisions. Removing decision making from the agenda. The ability to do nothing because others are convinced that no decisions has to be made. So now, the class will say no, the class will revolt. No, we have to put our head on the desk. Oh, we have to do that. Oh, we have to do this. They want to remove decision making from the hands of the teacher. And if that happens, what happens? Then we have chaos. It is still power. So if the students are able to do that, it means they use power to stop decision making. So power is decision making. Power is also preventing decision making. And power is removing decision making. Do you get it? Because if you are allowed to talk in the classroom, then the conversation starts between you and your peers or your mates in the classroom. Then noise erupted. Then the class becomes a marketplace. So for that not to happen, I have to prevent that mindset of creating a chaos in the classroom. So those are the three things power is used for. Do you understand? So those with power can impose their interests and their definition of reality on others. In doing so, they can bring about order and stability. So why do we even talk about power? We're talking about power because it brings order and stability. If no one is in charge, then the place is in chaos. If no one is charged, if no one is taking charge, then it becomes a no man's land. So everybody is free to do whatever he or she feels like doing. Then it is not an institution, because an institution is structured to function. So however, Foucault argued that power in modern society is different from power in past societies because it is opaque or difficult to see. People are unaware of the power that other individuals or groups such as government have over them. This has occurred because the way people think about the experience power in everyday life has changed. In the past, social control was mainly based on coercive power in a range of ways, from a king or queen exercising supreme power to prison systems that maintain total control over the body. In modern societies, Foucault's claim power is exercising in increasingly subtle modes ways, such as technological surveillance, both from above, such as closed-circuit television (CCTV), being used to film people and from below. For example, how someone's use of a smartphone can be used to gather information about them. So these days, there's awareness that people might do what they are not supposed to do. So how do we insert power? How do we insert authority with the fasting growth of technology? So we need to come up with things that will become evidence of what the situation is. Oh, is he doing the right thing? Is she doing the right thing? Oh, is a teacher, does he use the right words in the class? Or he doesn't use it. So it could be the student words against the teacher. So the camera now will decide. And that's why these days it is soundproof. So we don't just have the camera watching the image, we have the camera taking the voice. So it becomes difficult for us to argue or criticize the decision of how things are done. So that's what power has done. Power makes us understand that without me being there, something is there to monitor it. You wouldn't be able to question the camera because it is authority. You get the point there? So Foucault further argues that knowledge about the social world and the language we use to express such knowledge are both aspects of belief systems that control behavior by influencing how people think about the world. If, for example, we believe in ideas like male and female, this controls how we behave both as males and females and towards other males and females. So it's an ideology, like, oh, it's a woman or it's a man. So if I believe he's a man, so it means there's expectation of being a man. If I believe it's a woman, there's always an expectation of being a woman. So all these things are also part of our beliefs, our ideas on how we use our power or we enforce our power over people. Oh, it's a woman, so we just have to let go. Oh, it's a man. No, we have to be strong. We need to understand that. So although reality is socially constructed, the construction process itself involves a complex relationship between beliefs, ideologies, and power on one side, the broad structural elements of culture and everyday idea about roles, values, and norms on the other side. So the point about power is, yes, power comes with people's ideology, people's ways of life, people's experience and expertise. But that's one side. And the other side is, who are those initiating this power? What is their role? Oh, he's a teacher. Yes, he has the right to. Oh, he's a teacher, yes. But is he a very good teacher? Does he really take the classroom as important as his career? Yes, that's values. Oh, is a classroom. Is this the way the classroom is supposed to be? Yes, norms. So both values, roles, and norms are part of what will make us to initiate power. So you have the power, you have the idea, you have the initiative. But if it's going to happen, we have to check who is initiating that, who is enforcing it. And for us to accept that person enforcing it, we have to check it through its roles, the roles it plays. Who is he? Values. What is he known for? Then, is it normal? Is it traditional? Is it part of what should happen? So if these things are yes and yes and yes, then it is important to accept, not to revolt power. Is power clear? Any question about power? Done. So another way through which order can be maintained, or another mechanism through which order can be maintained, aside ideology and power, is consensus. So let's go to consensus. So the functionalist view is that order is maintained through a consensus, a general agreement on a set of values. This is not seen as being imposed from above by a ruling class as in Marxist theory, but rather the outcome of the majority accepting it. Those in authority have the power to punish those who break the consensus, for example, by committing a crime. But they will have the support of society in doing this. The punishing of criminals reinforces the boundaries of the value system. It actually strengthens it. It be reminding everyone of which behavior are not tolerated. The consensus is also reinforced by collective rituals, where the members of the society join together to confirm that their acceptance of the consensus. This may be through religious ceremonies or the use of symbols such as flags or singing of a national anthem. The consensus can change over time. If opinion changes within the society, then rules and laws will change to reflect this. In this way, the society is able to remain stable despite change. For consensus, these are functionalist ideology. They don't talk about power being imposed, but we need to maintain order in the society. But we can do this by everyone accepting that these are the right things to do. So this is what consensus is about. So though, if we all have to accept it, there's always going to be deviance. There's always going to be non-conformity. But those that do not, those that go against the consensus will be punished. So according to functionality, it's not like they shouldn't be punished. They should be punished. But for there to be stability and order in the society, it means we all have to accept it. And acceptance means there's authority. So it means we are saying yes to all these rules and laws because it comes from the people in power. So we all accept them as our leaders. So it's all about accepting those in charge, those in power. But if we don't accept them, there's no consensus, there will be conflict. So that's according to functionalists. So their own ideologies are, we have to reinforce conformity. We have to put it in mind of people that there are some things that will not be tolerated in the society. So these things that are not going to be tolerated, it's not just because of you, it's because of the whole society as a whole. So if we have said yes, it means everybody has accepted that it is yes. So if you are saying no, it means it is deviant. It means you are not conforming. And as a result of that, you should be dealt with punishment. So that's about that. So how do you come up with this consensus? According to the functionalists, they use mostly they use religious organizations, or maybe flags or national anthem. So we know it's unity, it brings us together. So if certain individual has come up with this statement under the guise of the national anthem or under the guise of the national flag, then we should all accept that it's from the country. So that's why when you see the president of a country addressing the people or the nationals or the population, there's going to be a symbol that represents the country as a whole. So whatever he says or she says, it's for the whole society and it represents the country. So you saying no to that means you're saying no to the country. Not no to, you might not like the individual who is in power, but he's not in power, he's ruling the society. So you should respect the society, the country, not the person in power. So whatever he or she has said must be accepted. So that's why it's our country. So whatever happens in our country, we have to be responsible for it. So that is consensus. So consensus comes from the functionalists, which means acceptance of all the ideas, of all the ideologies that, there should be social order, there should be social control, there should be conformity. So anyone that is not conforming means he or she is not accepting what others have accepted. So that is what consensus is about. And with that, we will have stability also. Power brings about stability. Ideology brings about stability. Consensus also bring about stability, but it depends on how we use them. Is it clear? Any question about consensus? Now we go to the questions. That ends the mechanism through which order is maintained.